Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 14th of July, 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, for those of you who don't know, there's actually an Ethereum documentary in production right now called the Ethereum The Infinite Garden. And you can see here there's like a teaser picture put up with Vitalik and Aya, both from the Ethereum Foundation, of course. And I mean, I don't think I need to tell you guys who Vitalik is, but it's really cool to see that that production is rolling and everything like that. And the Defiant actually did a piece today, an exclusive piece on this documentary. And the way it's actually going to be financed is by selling infinite tokens via Mirror. So basically, it's like a crowdfunding documentary via Mirror, which is obviously an Ethereum native kind of platform that I've gone through before. I mean, you guys have seen the Beacon book that was on there and stuff like that as well. But I think that's really, really cool. So they aim to raise at least $1.5 million with a stretch goal of up to $3 million. I mean, given it's crypto, I feel like that that 3 million is going to get hit. I kind of struggle to see see it not getting hit, but we'll have to see. This crowdfunding will actually begin today, so as you're watching this, you can go do this now, and end on Friday, July 16th. So it's only going for a couple of days here, but as I said, I feel like it's gonna. The money's going to pour in quite quickly here, which is really, really cool. So, and then backers will be able to get some NFTs as well by backing here. And I'm pretty sure the NFTs are going to be designed by People Pleaser. You guys know her. She's done a bunch of different kind of things within the Ethereum ecosystem. She did the Uniswap V3 NFT back in March and sold it for $500,000 to Pleaser DAO. I'm sure you've all kept up with that lately as well. So yeah, this is really cool. I can't wait to see how this kind of turns out. Generally I liked Camilla Russo's The Infinite Machine, the book that she wrote, but I think like a film obviously appeals to a different set of people, and a film kind of like is just a different medium, so it's gonna have like a different feel to it. So I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing where this goes, and obviously partaking in the crowdfund as well, for sure. I just want to kind of like see this funded, see this kind of, I guess, brought to life, because I think it's going to be a good way to get the story of Ethereum out there. All right, so Geth version 1.10.5 was released today. This is the London hard fork ready version. So if you are running a Geth node, please do ensure you upgrade to this version so that you're ready for the London hard fork, which obviously goes live on August 4th, what we're all kind of, I guess, anticipating and what we're all kind of waiting for. So yeah, if you run Geth, you should upgrade. And there might be other kind of versions coming out before London goes live, so definitely keep an eye on that. But generally, if there's no critical bug fixes or anything like that, there might be, I guess, smaller bug fixes that may not be critical and may not require you to upgrade again. But just keep an eye out for that if you're running Geth, which, all of you should be running an Ethereum full node if you can, but, if you're running Geth, definitely upgrade it here. And I'm sure the other clients have already got kind of like their versions out, their London kind of hard fork compatible versions out. If not, they'll be coming out soon. So Coinbase Wallet, Coinbase announced that Coinbase Wallet is going to be supporting the Polygon network in their mobile app. So you can go check that out if you use the Coinbase Wallet mobile app. It's basically part of the network selection settings here. You can see they're supporting Ethereum, obviously. They support Optimism as well. They've supported Optimism for quite a while, but now they support Polygon's mainnet, which is awesome. And obviously a bunch of the test nets as well for Ethereum. I think this is so cool because I've said like plenty of times before that layer 2s need a bunch of different things to kind of increase their adoption, and one of those is centralized exchange support or centralized service report, and especially wallet support. So the Coinbase adding support for Polygon is really awesome. Now I know I said layer 2s, Polygon's obviously a side chain, but I think that slowly over time, Coinbase is going to add support for these networks as they prove themselves more. Like Optimism, I'm going to talk about in a sec. They basically launched with Uniswap today, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But also, like I'm assuming Coinbase is going to support Arbitrum. They're going to support zk Sync. They're going to support Starkware, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it's funny because DYDX is actually founded by former Coinbase employees, and I'm pretty sure there's shared investors there and stuff like that. So I would imagine Coinbase having like a DYDX bridge or something, or even a bridge to one of the bridges like Connext or Hot Protocol or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's just really good to see them supporting Polygon and supporting just Ethereum-based scaling solutions in general, especially the fact that they've had Optimism support for quite a while. I mean, I feel like they're going to be kind of throwing their weight behind Optimism especially because they've got like shared investors. That always plays a part, whether we like it or not. That definitely plays a big part in this. But I think it's just good for the end user at the end of the day. So if you want to read about like how they're going to be supporting this and what you have to do to kind of connect to Polygon with your Coinbase mobile wallet app, if that's what you use, there's a blog post here that'll be linked in the YouTube description for you to check out, and you can kind of see here. It's just in the settings. It's not too hard to find. So if you're a Polygon user and a Coinbase mobile wallet user, you will be very happy with this. So speaking of Polygon, TokenSets has now launched on Polygon, which I thought was really cool today. So there's actually a bunch of major kind of launches, releases, raises today that I'm going to get through. But TokenSets launching on Polygon finally. I've kind of been helping them along with this. It's been in the works for a little while. As you guys know, I'm an advisor to Set and Polygon, so just some disclaimers there. But this is really cool. This blog post describes the entire kind of, rollout, what's happening with it. There's a guide on how to get started. A really detailed guide, actually. I really love this. It's got pictures and everything. I mean, this is one of the best kind of user guides that I've seen in quite a while here. So kudos to Andrew for putting this together. But essentially, Set is unfortunately one of the protocols that the high gas fees on Ethereum kind of, priced out a lot of users from. I remember back a little while now when Set was doing kind of like the different kind of range-bound sets or like automated rebalancing sets, like the moving average sets and things like that. Some of you DeFi OGs will know what I'm talking about. It actually was very expensive to mint those tokens, and it was very expensive to sell those. Like I'm talking hundreds of dollars when gas prices were high. So Set kind of, moved past those kind of products and have moved into what we have today, which is obviously the index card builds on Set. There's like the DeFi Pulse Index and other products like that, and the Fly and stuff like that. But I think with Set protocol being on Polygon, where the fees are a lot cheaper, it's just really cool to see. It's going to be really cool to see if those other kind of sets that we had, pre-high gas fees come back with a vengeance, and people start using them and actually build them out, because it's basically a permissionless system. You can build out your own sets on here. You can essentially discover sets to invest in. I mean, there's all kind of guides here. There's even a video guide as well, so you can check these out to see everything about that too. But yeah, really cool to see this. I obviously, because I'm an advisor to Set, I'm encouraging them to also explore other kind of like scalability solutions as well, because I think Set is an amazing kind of protocol. I think the products that you can build on there are awesome. Asset management's a huge space, but I really hate seeing things limited by gas fees. So definitely, pushing along there myself. But if you want to experience TokenSets without the gas fees, definitely go check it out on Polygon. You can even do so using your Coinbase mobile wallet app if you want to. This is the cool thing about the fact that you can now use multiple different wallets to connect to Polygon, not just having to use something like MetaMask. So yeah, definitely go check that out, and check out this guide if you need a guide on how to get started with TokenSets on Polygon. All right, so I think the biggest news from the last 24 hours was Uniswap finally going live on Optimism. I told you guys it was coming any day now. I know I've said that for months, but it's finally here. This doesn't mean that Optimism is open in a public mainnet fashion, and they actually detailed in their own blog post where they said that they don't expect that to happen this month. It's going to be a slow rollout, but I think that they've given us Uniswap on there to kind of like give us something, right? Give us something to enjoy, to experience. And oh man, I had an amazing first experience with it. I deposited 1 ETH from my Sassel.eth address into Optimism. Had to wait about 20 minutes for the deposit to clear, but that's kind of normal. Then once it was in there, I did a trade. I traded a little bit of ETH to DAI, just like 0.01 ETH, right? Like it's like $16 or something worth of ETH. I traded that. Probably more than that, about $20. So I traded that for DAI, and I paid about 77 cents in transaction fee, and the transaction was near instant. So that experience was amazing. Now, you might be wondering, wow, 77 cents, that's still quite high for a layer 2 transaction. And yes, it is. Now, the reason why it is high is because they've actually got a few limitations on Uniswap v3 on Optimism here. There can only be 50,000 transactions per day on here. Now, the Ethereum network as a whole does over 1 million transactions per day, and that's with the high gas fees. Now, obviously, we're expecting layer 2s to do much more than that with the lower fees, but the thing is that the layer 2 still have to pay for layer 1 security. So when you have a low amount of transactions happening, you have a low amount of fees being paid, which means that it's kind of like has to be dynamic, where the fees are going to be higher the less users on there. But as we get more and more users on there, as that 50,000 transaction per day cap gets lifted over time, which they said that will happen, more fees will be generated. So the overall fees will go down. And I've said this before. I've said that high individual fees are bad, but high aggregate fees are good. And what I mean by that is that me and you paying $10 for a trade, which is, I guess, on the low side these days on layer 1, is bad. But, the aggregate fees being $10 for like 1,000 people, say, is good. So say there's like 1,000 trades go through and they each have a transaction fee of like 1 cent, while them being $10 for those 1,000 trades is good. That's fine. I mean, no one's going to complain about that. I'm not going to be complaining about a 1 cent transaction fee or anything like that. So that's just going to happen over time. And I think I've been trying to set the expectation on the refuels lately, where I've been kind of hammering this point home that the layer 2 rollout is going to be a progressive kind of process. This is not going to happen all at once. It's not like we're going to have Optimism, Arbitrum, and all the other ones go live, and then everything's going to be fully decentralized, fully scalable, exactly what we want it to be from day one. No, it's an iterative process. It's going to take some time. It's definitely going to take a few months into a few months at least, definitely, but it's probably going to bleed into the next year pretty heavily. And I would even say even the year after that, until we get to a point where we have like a fully decentralized system. But in saying that, I think with crypto economics, we can actually bootstrap these things a lot quicker than we normally could otherwise. So if say Optimism or Arbitrum decide to launch their token in the next few months, they could decentralize the network quite quickly with that token. They could encourage people to run their own sequences and all that sort of stuff, and basically decentralize out the production of sequences. They could encourage people to come onto the layer 2s through liquidity mining campaigns and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think it can actually happen faster than we think, but they are definitely playing it very, very safe. They even call it like an alpha launch here. It's not even a beta launch. This is just like the minimal viable kind of Uniswap on Optimism, which I think is still really, really cool. As I said, I tested it out. You guys should all test it out as well. It's very easy to get started. There's a bunch of guides and stuff like that. But when you kind of like think about where we want to be, we're still a little bit, still a while away from that. And even if Arbitrum goes live with their public mainnet relatively soon, which I believe they will, and there's going to be tons of apps on there, I think they're going to still have like a lot of safety controls in place, a lot of guardrails and things like that. And I think that's totally fine. But you just have to be aware of it. You have to be aware that it's basically going to be centralized. It's going to be at a point where it can be shut down by a centralized operator, or funds can be stolen or anything like that. Now, I don't think the Arbitrum or Optimism team is going to do that, but I also think that obviously we want these things to be decentralized because we want to resist like nation states and stuff like that. So that sort of stuff's a little while away. Let me put it that way. If you want nation state level resistance, then you use layer 1. Layer 2, you're going to have to wait a little while for us to get there. But that's okay, I think. I totally think that's okay, because we have to just build it out. We have to start somewhere. And we're definitely starting somewhere by doing this. So as I said, go check this out. I'm glad to see this this is finally live, but it is just the beginning, the very beginning of the layer 2 kind of ecosystem. I know we have other layer 2s out there like Loopring and Diversified, DYDX, Immutable X. There's so many now. But in terms of like brand awareness and usage, nothing beats Uniswap right now. Nothing even comes close to Uniswap in terms of usage. I mean, Uniswap uses like 30% of the Ethereum network. I know Axie Infinity has been using more than Uniswap lately, but I'm talking about consistency. Like Axie Infinity has been pretty explosive, has seen pretty explosive growth over the last, I guess, few weeks, but consistently Uniswap has been the top kind of performer here. And Axie is also scaling via a sidechain called Ronin instead of a layer 2. So there's a few differences there, but not to diminish Axie Infinity's kind of growth or anything like that. But I think that Uniswap is still kind of like one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known app on Ethereum. And Axie probably is a close second at this point. I don't know if you guys have been watching what's happening with Axie Infinity, but that has been blowing up like really, really crazily. So yeah, but anyway, without getting too sidetracked here, go check Uniswap on Optimism out if you haven't yet. I'm going to be following this along very closely to see how they kind of roll this out, monitoring the growth of the network, seeing how much TVL gets locked up. I think it's at 1.5 million TVL so far. Obviously, there's no rush to get to layer 2. It's just a lot of people kind of like putting money in to be a liquidity provider or to kind of check it out, experiment with it. It's going to take a little bit of time to bootstrap, but there's no liquidity mining incentives. As I said, there's a 50,000 transaction per day limit. So even like arbitrage bots and stuff like that are gonna, maybe not set themselves up just yet. Still very, very early days, but we'll see. We'll see it play out. I think it's going to grow much faster than people think as we keep going along with the layer 2 rollout here. So Connext Network announced that they have raised $12 million in an ecosystem round from 82 leading stakeholders in the space. Now, disclosure here, I invested in this round. My name is right there as part of the ecosystem and angels group there. But I mean, I can give you my thesis right now on why I invested, and I've been talking about this for quite a while. I think bridges and these bridges between layer 2s and different chains are going to be absolutely massive going forward. And I've given my kind of opinion on this, my view on this quite a few times already, where I believe that essentially, because we're going to have like this liquidity that fragments across different solutions, you're going to need a bridge to kind of like get across them. And now, obviously, there's Hot Protocol, Connext, Seller. I mean, I've spoken about all of them before, but there's not just going to be one winner here. And I think Connext, being around for quite a while now, they have the most experience in this area. I mean, they've been around for like 3 or 4 years. They've done a ton of different things, working with different layer 2 protocols, working with state channels, like all that sort of stuff. So I jumped at the chance to back this team here, and they brought on a lot of kind of like people. I mean, you can see here on the picture, like the amount of angels they brought on. It's pretty crazy. I mean, the who's who is there. Basically, all the familiar names that you guys will know. Ryan, Sean Adams, David Hoffman, Eric Connor, DC Investor. All the people. I mean, there's so many people there, but also like the funds and exchanges and there's staking providers as well in there. I mean, it's really cool to see that they've brought on a bunch of people and stakeholders that can actually help grow the network, because a lot of private investing, the way it's done is that like some teams will just kind of bring on whoever's kind of like throwing the money, which is not the right approach, I think. And then other teams will basically say, okay, well, how do we get alignment from the most amount of people in our current raise? And can we get them from people who actually will help us along? So, the staking providers are obviously going to help Connext with setting up nodes and stuff like that, and running nodes and allowing people to kind of delegate their tokens and do kind of like staking that way. And then L2 founders, right? I mean, Connext is trying to bridge L2s and chains. So having the L2 founders bought into the vision, into the mission is extremely important, obviously. The funds and exchanges at the top, you can see, I think 1KX led this round, but there's a bunch of funds in there that all have various kind of value adds and things like that. And then, of course, all the different angels. I mean, there's tons of, DeFi founders in there, like, and they said here, Balancer founders, they got Stani in there. I'm just kind of looking through the list here. Scott Lewis of DeFi Pulse, James Simpson from mStable. I mean, there's so many people in there, not just DeFi founders, but long-term DeFi kind of builders or just builders in general. So that's what people mean when they say that raising it from kind of like leading stakeholders and getting alignment from people is that they want to be able to kind of ensure the success of their project beyond money, because you can get money from anyone these days if you're raising a round. I mean, I've gone through how much money is in the ecosystem right now, ready to be deployed. It's like billions of dollars, but money is just one side of it. Like, you can have as much money. I mean, let me take a step back here. Think about all the projects that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars and what they have to show for it. Not very much. There's tons of layer 1 projects that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars that have basically gone nowhere, like absolutely nowhere. And that's because money can't buy you a community. It can't buy you a network effect. It can't buy you connections. It can't buy you any of that sort of stuff. What buys you that is allowing people to kind of get to invest and to get alignment in your fundraise, and to make sure you're targeting the right kind of people. So I just thought this was really cool. Obviously, disclosure. Obviously, I'm an investor in this, but yeah, I mean, it's super cool to see the amount of people that they brought on board here, and trying to ensure that they have the right people on board. So hopefully that gives you a bit of color around, I guess, why people kind of do this sort of stuff in fundraisers, why you're seeing like so many people on this board and like all the quote unquote thought leaders and people that are kind of big in this ecosystem. That's exactly why, because they're just massive value adds. And honestly, like, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm a pretty good value add to these projects. I mean, I help as many of them as I can. I'm always talking to all the projects that I invest in, helping them kind of like source talent, helping them with marketing, community stuff, all that sort of stuff. And typically the checks that I write are quite small. Like I'm not writing any major checks for these sorts of things. But I think, just getting that alignment and kind of like getting me on board to help them with it and having some kind of exposure to their success is like a massive motivator, not just for myself, but for like everyone involved. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that for now because there's a few other things to go through here. Another fundraise, SuperFluid, which again, I participated in this fundraise. Just another disclaimer there. I'm not just talking about this because I participated in them, but I would have talked about them anyway. But anyway, SuperFluid raised $9 million from a bunch of different funds and investors here. Multicoin Capital led this round. A bunch of familiar faces in there like Defiance Capital and then a bunch of angels as well. You can see here all the different kind of people they've got involved. Balaji, David Hoffman, Calvin Liu from Compound. I'm not going to name them all. Ryan Salkis from Masari. Do Kwon from Terra. So not even just in the Ethereum ecosystem, outside of it too. And Stani, of course, is there. He's in pretty much everything. And then a bunch of other names down the bottom as well. So yeah, for those of you who don't know what SuperFluid is, it's basically they call themselves programmable money streams on Ethereum. So I think Carl Samani actually had a good thread. I don't know if I can find it here. He had a good thread breaking it down in an easy to kind of like understand way. Maybe I'm just quickly scrolling through to see if I can find it. If I can't find it, it's not a big deal. But essentially, what SuperFluid does, it extends what Sablia has done. A lot of you will know of Sablia, like the money streaming service. It extends what Sablia does and basically makes any kind of value stream programmable on top of Ethereum. So they're not just building on Ethereum. I'm pretty sure they're going to be building on different kind of side chains and layer 2s as well, of course. Obviously, money streaming protocols need scalability because if you're streaming like $100 to someone and it costs them $20 to claim that stream, well, that's not acceptable, right? That we don't want that for sure. So definitely, I'm really, really excited for this project. I'm really excited to see how it goes because I think payments are an underserviced kind of area of crypto, especially of DeFi. I've used Sablia. I get streamed things via Sablia, whether it's like investments or whatever, and it works quite well. And SuperFluid is just taking this to the next level where you can have streams, but you can have them, fully programmable. So like how you can how Ethereum is fully programmable, how ETH is, how DeFi is it's basically extending this to programmable streams of money. So essentially, as just to give a quick example here, you can imagine like you getting a stream of money to you, but then you can kind of program that stream to do anything. So essentially, say the money's coming into you and you say, okay, well, I want to program this stream of money and in a fully decentralized way, mind you, but I want to program this money to say, once I've been streamed $100, put that $100 into a money market and earn me some yield, or put that into Yearn and earn me some yield. So that's kind of like a basic example of kind of how it works. But that, just even though it's a basic example, just think about how much that basically changes the game when it comes to streaming payments and kind of, I guess, like not just payments in general, but just like streaming any form of value in general and kind of like being able to move value at this and kind of liquidity at the speed that we can move data with. Like, for example, to use like email as an example, you can program email to do a bunch of different things. You can schedule emails to go out. You can attach things to it. You can, embed things in emails and all that sort of stuff. Well, the same should be true for value and liquidity, where you can basically program it to do whatever you want. So that's and in the context of streaming payments and kind of like just payments in general, that is a huge kind of huge thing as well. You can even do super complex things. You can do like an if this then that for streaming payments as well. So if you don't know what SuperFluid is, hopefully that gave you a little bit of an overview, but you can definitely check out their website, their docs, everything, and kind of learn about what it is and kind of like how it works and why it's why it's revolutionary, or why it's going to be a big kind of a deal in the kind of Ethereum space. So definitely go check it out if you haven't yet. Again, disclosure, I participated in this round, but I did so for good reason. I invest in things that I actually think are cool and I actually think are going to be something that kind of adds value to the Ethereum ecosystem, not just investing in it for the sake of it. So another project that kind of came out of stealth over the last 24 hours is something called Nifty Island. So basically, Nifty Island, in their tweet here, they say they are a new virtual world which is coming soon to make the metaverse a reality, and it's called Nifty Island. There's not much information about it, but essentially, I think the way it's going to work is essentially allowing anyone to create their own kind of island, or like little island within a metaverse, and kind of like do whatever they want on there, bring their NFTs into it, kind of like customize their island, visit other people's islands and all that sort of stuff, which I think is really cool. Now, I don't know what solution they're building this on. I don't know. They're obviously not going to build it on Ethereum's layer 1. I don't know if they're going to build it on layer 2 or a side chain. There's obviously plenty of options out there for them to do this, but this will not work on anything but a layer 2 or a side chain. It's not working on layer 1 Ethereum. It'd be way too expensive, not scalable enough. So if I had to guess, either Polygon or kind of like Immutable X maybe as the layer 2 that they use. But other than that, I can't see anything else. Maybe XDAI, but XDAI doesn't have many kind of network effects here. Definitely, Polygon will be the natural solution if I was kind of choosing a solution for an NFT project, but we'll have to see. There's not, as I said, not much details just yet, but still, if you want to kind of keep up with this project, you can go follow them. Their Twitter handles here will be linked in the YouTube description as well, and you can kind of like follow along and see all the updates as they put them out. And they've also kind of got a bunch of jobs here too. I mean, all the teams I spoke about are hiring. Connext, SuperFluid, Uniswap's even hiring. I mean, everyone's hiring right now. So I mean, there's no excuse really. If you, I mean, and Nifty Island, if you're not into DeFi, you can kind of like go work for NFTs, and there's roles open here for like all types of people: marketing, DevOps, game developer as well. I mean, this is the thing. It's like there's so many ways to work within Ethereum, and whether that be NFTs or DeFi or anything else. It doesn't have to be any one sector, and there's so many open positions too. So yeah, definitely go check out the open positions at all those teams if you're looking for a job in crypto. So Emilio from Aave is teasing something again. Aave loves to tease things. I love it. It's always fun to see what they're up to. But essentially, he put out a tweet where he says, to bridge assets between networks, sidechains, and L2, you need liquidity on both sides. You know which protocol has plenty of multi-chain liquidity? Aave. You know which protocol can directly translate balances between chains? Aave. 1-to-1 A tokens for the win. See where this is going. So, you know how I was talking about bridges just before in the context of Connext? If Aave can do kind of this bridging between these different chains on layer 2s and side chains and everything like that by using their native token, like A tokens, where it's basically directly translating this kind of like protocols between chains and balances between chains, this is huge. And this, again, is what I was talking about when people ask me, oh, is the L2 or sidechain liquidity fragmentation going to be an issue? And I say, no, I don't foresee it being an issue at all, because we have the smartest engineers in crypto working in Ethereum, the smartest researchers, and they're all working on different ways to solve this same problem. Connext is doing it one way, Hop's doing it another way, Sal is doing it another way, Aave seems to be doing it another way. There's going to be multiple ways to do it, and at the end of the day, the end users are going to be the ones that benefit from this. So I think that's just really, really cool. There's not much more information about this, I don't think. I didn't see much more in the kind of like in the comments here. But still, whenever Aave is teasing something, you know they're working on it, because they've, you know they're working on it closely too, because I remember a few weeks before they announced Aave Pro, they were teasing it. They've been teasing the NFT market on Aave, which, I'm assuming is going to go live relatively soon. And, this bridging stuff that they got going on, if they're teasing it now, then you can expect it sooner rather than later. So definitely looking forward to this. So mStable now has an alUSD, mUSD feeder pool live on Ethereum, on the Ethereum mainnet. So if you have alUSD and you want to earn a yield on it and earn MTA rewards and a share of the trading fees, of course, you can go check out this feeder pool at this link here. It will be linked in the YouTube description. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with alUSD and how you mint that from Alchemix, or how you can like buy that on Curve, or even within like the mStable feeder pools now as well. And the APY, last time I checked, the APY was okay. It was actually quite high because there wasn't much liquidity yet. But if I'm kind of looking here and looking at kind of what the APY is for this pool, if I go here, I don't know if it's going to show me exactly. Where's the APY? Yeah, 21 to 64%, depending on if you boost with staked MTA here. So very good APY for USD USD yield here. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go check this out. Disclosure again, I'm an investor and advisor to mStable here, but it's just cool to see them adding more of these, what they call feeder pools, which allow you to earn a yield on all different types of stable coins. I mean, it doesn't even have to be alUSD. You can do it for BUSD or even GUSD, and there's more coming as well. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. All right, last thing to talk about here is a little bit of a, I wouldn't call it drama, but something funny that Cobie or Crypto Cobain posted to the Uniswap governance forum today as a response to what I spoke about yesterday about how the Uni governance kind of got a little bit captured by this this DeFi education fund that basically extracted $20 million worth of Uni to do all of, nothing really. I mean, they said they're going to be lobbying and educating regulators and all that sort of stuff, but I went over it in yesterday's refill. There's just not much kind of clarity there. But anyway, Cobie's kind of like post here is more of a satirical take on Uniswap's governance. And I think the point of it is it's supposed to kind of call out how, maybe broken's not the right word, but how, dumb Uniswap governance is right now and how it can be a lot better. And essentially what he says is he's proposed to allocate 500,000 Uni to create and fund the Cobie Head Shave Fund, which I thought was pretty funny. Obviously, this would entail shaving of Cobie's head, and the funds would be used to cover the equipment and all that sort of stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, we propose the following as the initial committee members: Mark Cuban, Brian Armstrong, the guy who's trying to reorg ETH for money, I think he's called Eddie or something, a bunch of others here, Bitfinex and or Chris Black, and Kane Warwick and Will Smith. So this was quite funny, and this got a lot of attention. And as I said, this is just basically a way to kind of make fun of Uniswap's governance process and how through some kind of satire. And I really appreciated this because being Australian, we love our satire. That's part of our humor here. And the comments are even funnier. Like CL, he asks, are we shitposting on forums now? And then Cobie says, no, this is a proposal for 500,000 Uni. Please reread the post. So he's kind of like, just being satirical throughout the whole thing. And there was a bunch of comments around here. It was quite funny scrolling through. And then Bantake had a pretty good comment where he said, despite the initial reaction to shrug it off as satire, I think this might be a good proposal to activate protest voters and shake up what's essentially been a pretty dead governance token. Also, props for well-outlined deliverables and higher than university grade justification of expenses. You have my full support. So this was obviously, the second part was obviously a jab at the DeFi Education Fund. But I think what Banteg is saying here about activating protest voters and getting more eyeballs on Uniswap governance is really important, because this is how you do it. You create something funny, you create a meme, and that's how you get the most eyeballs on whatever you want to do. I've spoken about this countless times on the Refuel and in my newsletter, where I basically said that memes are the fastest way that we have on the internet to spread information, even off the internet. The fastest way to spread information in general is through the internet, but memes do it and do a very good job of it. And memes are full of, obviously, jokes and satire and all that sort of stuff. And that's exactly what this post is full of. You can see here, this post got 6.3k views. It got 49 replies, 57 hearts on the original post. And this is actually this might be the most active kind of post on Uniswap's governance forum. I don't know if I can actually see what's the most active, but if you go through the rest of them, there's nowhere near as active as this. Even the DeFi Education Fund got way less activity than this did, and that's because, one, it was posted by someone who has a very big following, of course. Like Cobie has 400,000 followers on Twitter, of course it's going to get attention. But two, it was funny, it's meme worthy, it's satirical, it makes fun of something that's topical right now and gets people more involved and activates them, as Banteg says. So I think this is actually really cool, because I got the conversation started on Twitter as well. I saw a bunch of people talking about it, all these comments here too, which is quite funny. Fine Matic said, you should consider adding Sassel 0x to the committee members. And then Cobie goes, I don't know who that is. I'm new to crypto. So just continuing on with the jokes and the memes here. And there's just so much gold in this post. I recommend reading through the comments. It's quite funny. But this is how you get the attention on things. And this is how you, make fun of things through satire, which I think is really, really funny and actually a pretty good way of doing so. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for today because time's up. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give that video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.